Ladies and gentlemen, Catholicos, Catholics, Orthodox, Christians, all who seek the truth, we are approaching Advent, and today I'm here to do one thing and one thing only, and that is, I'm going to steal an SNL line, to pump you up. That's what Hans and Franz would have said on Saturday night. We're here to pump you up. And how do we do that? We observe the traditional Advent fast. There was such a thing. Up in the East, up to now, it's still called the Nativity fast. St. Francis of Assisi called it the Christmas fast. And it is one of the four fasts of the Church. Of course, and nowadays in the West, unfortunately, the word fast has disappeared from the lexicon. There is no such thing as fasting anymore in the Roman Catholic Church. In reality, technically, they might say, "Oh, the Lent Friday, two days in Lent? I don't know. Yeah, Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. That's not a fast. That's a joke." Traditionally, from the Apostolic Fathers, from the beginning of the Church, from apostolic tradition, fasting was on Wednesdays and Fridays. Every Wednesday, every Friday, fasting means no food from morning till sunset, till Vespers, and then you eat. And that was Wednesdays for the betrayal of Judas of Christ, and on Fridays for the crucifixion, Good Friday. And Saturdays were added as well for the death of the Lord, being in the graves. It's in the West. In the East, Saturdays were never fasted on. So now we're talking about Advent. Advent, there is a fast. Honestly speaking, I've never fasted the Advent fast. This year, maybe I will try to do some of it. Traditionally, fasting, let's say Advent starts in this year. Well, it is in this case this year from December 1st to the 24th. 25th, of course, is the Feast of Christmas, so there is no fasting on the Feast of Christmas. Originally, it wasn't just Advent. Fasting in the East started. Various churches have different calendars. Even in the West, there was no specific discipline. Because the liturgy was. If each location had their own customs and they maintained their apostolic traditions, not innovations, but apostolic traditions. And for example, in the Roman Church, there was the Advent fast, so the 4 weeks of Advent. And then the fasting starts up to Christmas Eve. But this Advent, but before there was actually the feast started from Saint Martin of Tours, who was a Roman soldier. He was born to pagan parents, converted to Christianity when he was young. And his feast day is usually celebrated November 11th. And the fast is called the Fast of the Lent of St. Martin, or the St. Martin's Lent, or the 40 days of St. Martin. And it started from the day after the Feast of St. Martin, which was November 11th, so it starts from the 12th, up to January 6th, the Epiphany. Of course, there's no fast on the Epiphany, so up to the 5th. And that matches as well some of the other fasts in the East, because, of course, there were the days after Easter, after Christmas, which were exempted because it's still a feast days. And then there was a bit of fast up to Epiphany Sunday, Epiphany. And then it was, the fast was ended. And it would actually come up to almost 40 days. So anyway, St. Martin's fast, that is the traditional fast days in the West, but and this fast, actually I have here a little book called Medieval Handbook of Penance. Maybe some priests should actually give us some real penances instead of just saying, say Hail Mary and an Our Father and you're all good. That's not a penance. Get some real penances going. Anyway, so in this book, for example, it talks about this fourth fast, because there are 4 fasting seasons, and there's 4 amber days, which are the Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays of the 4 seasons, where extra fasting, extra penance, extra prayers were said. And even in the traditional Roman rite, it's still maintained. Not in the new, of course. So fasting for Advent. So fasting meant fasting. Fasting meant no food, 1 meal a day after sunset, or at least St. Thomas Aquinas says after 3 p.m. And only 1 meal a day, no snacking, no grazing, none of that. And the other thing is there was a fast up to the late Middle Ages. It's always been maintained and still maintained in the East, is no meat, no dairy, no dairy products like eggs or cheese so no dairy, no milk, no eggs. And in the East they would add no wine, and no fish as well. That's in the Byzantine East. But for the West, fish was always allowed. Wine and beer were allowed. So basically, no meat, exactly like Lent. The only difference between the Advent fast and the Lenten, the Easter fast, basically before Easter, that was it's more, the Easter one was more penance was required. So not required, recommended. It's custom. So in the Easter, for example, the Advent fast. So even from the 4 fasts were mentioned by Pope Calixtus in 217 A.D., and St. Leo the Great considered them an apostolic institution. And Pope Gelasius in 492 speaks about the 4 fasts. And if you look at different sources and different books and different websites, they talk about certain parts of because there was no consistent custom the whole church. So some places they demanded 3 days a week, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, be fast and abstinence, and the rest of the Advent season would be just abstinence. Abstinence meaning you abstain from, you do not eat meat, dairy products, eggs. But you don't have to. The fasting means not to eat except 1 meal a day. That was only required for Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Someplace, again, this was no law. But it was universal. It was a custom throughout the West and the East up to now. So, for example, here I'm just looking at a site, and Alban Butler, who wrote The Lives of the Saints, talks about this fast, the Advent fast, was abstinence from flesh. So flesh, dairy, eggs. So it was some places it was by precept, others by devotion, but without any positive obligation. So they didn't order you, but it was universal. So everybody everybody practiced that. And the main fast days were Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. The rest of the Advent season was abstinence. So no dairy, no meat, no eggs. And some people will say, I don't really have to fast. Why would I fast? The reason is, Jesus himself commanded us to fast. And, he has people asking him, the disciples of St. John were saying, look, us, the disciples of John the Baptist and the Pharisees, we fast. How come your disciples don't fast? And Jesus said to him, well, they're not going to fast while the bridegroom is with them. He is the bridegroom. But the days will come when the bridegroom will be taken away, and then they will fast. And Jesus himself says, especially if you're facing some, he's talking in that specific time about possession, demonic possession, but it could go for any type of sin, any evil which is besetting you. And he says, this type of thing is only can be cast out. The only way is by fasting and prayer. So prayer alone is not going to work. Fasting alone is not going to work. It's going to be fast and prayer. And the custom, the tradition, the doctrine of the church is in the fasting, it's not just abstaining from food and I can do all kinds of sins. No, it is fasting, prayers, and almsgiving. And of course, you're trying to abstain from sin and getting better. And for example, St. Matthew's Gospel in chapter 6, all three are mentioned. Jesus says, when you give alms, which means we have to give alms, help the poor, take care of the needy, and so forth. When you pray, he says, when you pray, so we have to pray. And then he says as well, when you fast. So when you fast, it's not like if you fast, you should fast really. No. Jesus says, when you pray, when you give alms, when you fast, do this, this, and that. So Christ himself commands it. And it is, we do need the fasting. We need to discipline. We need to subdue the body to the soul. Otherwise, one of the deadly sins, 7 deadly sins is gluttony, which is like excessive, not just eating, all kinds of extravagance, not just with food. So, but food is one of the greatest things we abuse. So when you fast, you are forcing your will and your soul to control the desires of your body. So we are not just animals following the lusts of the flesh. Go eat. Oh, I'm going to eat. Oh, I'm going to go do this. No, you have to have your mind, your soul controlling your body. We are the children of God. We are not a bunch of animals reacting to instinct. So, again, some people will say, well, I'm pretty good. I go to church every so often, and I don't really. Jesus is really loving, and he's not gonna punish me. And you know what the church lady would say? Isn't that convenient? It's an excuse. Isn't that special? It's an excuse. It's an excuse to eat, drink, and do whatever I want because I don't want to control my body. I don't want to subdue it. St. Paul says, subdue your body. You have to control it. If you don't control your whole body, your body becomes the master and your mind and your soul becomes the slave to the flesh. It has to be reversed. We have to get the soul and the mind to be the master of the body. And that's the purpose. One of the main purposes of fasting is to subdue the flesh to the will. And and as I said, in the East, actually the Nativity fast, the Christmas fast, the Advent fast, for those who follow the Reformed Julian calendar, which matches the Gregorian hour calendar, it starts from the 15th of November to December 24th. So what can we do? What should we do? How do we... what's the easiest way? Well, the easiest way, first of all, if we start with true apostolic tradition, which is to fast Wednesdays and Fridays, every single Wednesday and every single Friday. And fasting means no food, maybe one meal a day. And if you're really tough, you can do it after sunset, after 6 p.m., after Vespers. If you're pretty hungry, okay, fine, you can break it. St. Thomas says you can break it at 3 because Christ died at 3 p.m. So you can break your fast at 3. So at least Wednesdays and Fridays, one meal a day and no meat, no eggs, no dairy. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Twice a week. And for the Great Lent and for the real like Lent, you should fast every single day and abstain from all of these. So it's food abstinence and fasting every single day of Lent, not just Wednesday, no meat, and I can eat like a pig all day long, except I'm not eating meat once a Friday, once a week. That's nothing. That's not a fast. That's not fasting. This is nothing. But for the Advent, again, various areas. So in the medieval in England, they fasted 12 days before Christmas, and after that they had 12 days, 12 days of Christmas, the feast. So the fast before Christmas feast, and then the feast after Christmas. So 12 before fasting before Christmas, Christmas Day, and then 12 days after Christmas. That is the custom in one location. So if we want to just be kind of more strict, we can ignore St. Martin's Day. But if those who want to do the real one, you can start from November 12th. But I'm posting it now because we can start from Advent. From Advent Monday. So Sunday is the first Sunday of Advent. Okay, after Sunday, because there is no fasting on Sundays. Sundays are an accepted days. No fasting on Sundays. You can be should abstain as well on Sundays if you can, but since there is no law now, we can just say no abstinence or no fasting on Sundays. It's up to you. But then you have from the Monday. So if we just do the most basic one, like as it was commanded, and it matches the Amber days. So Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays. So Wednesday, Friday, Saturday of every week of Lent. Fasting, meaning no food, one meal a day. And if you really, really need a snack, you can do one or two small snacks a day. You shouldn't really, because that's technically breaking the fast. So if you can do the real fast, one meal a day, no snacking after 3 p.m. And after 6 would even be better. And no dairy, no eggs, no meat. So Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. And the rest of Advent, it's up to you. I mean, really, if you want to do the Advent fast, so you can fast 3 days. If you can fast all of it, great. The more the better. The more the merrier. And if you can't, then the 3 days, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, do fasting and abstinence. And if you can do it with prayer, combined with prayer and almsgiving, if you can do it, extend it. Do the whole of Advent with abstinence. So you can decide what you want to do. Maybe just no meat, or maybe no dairy. Or if you're really good, no meat, no dairy, no eggs. All of Advent. And the only 3 days you actually abstain from these and fast would be Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. If you can do that, it's fantastic. If you can't, you can't. On Wednesday, the Lent, the Great Lent, the Lent before Easter, the last year I did actually do the real fast with the full abstinence, and I'm going to hopefully try to do it again. Amber, this Advent, I will definitely do Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday fasting and abstinence. The rest of Advent, I'll see how it goes, to be honest with you. I'll see how it goes. I will try my best to maybe do 1 or 2 more days of abstinence, no meat, dairy, or eggs. And see how it goes. But we shouldn't aim too high. We can't say, well, I'm going to do all of this every single day. I'm going to fast and abstain, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to pray. If you give yourself too much work, too much, you set the bar too high, you fail, you will give it all up, and you will just not do anything. It's better to restrict it, to do a bit, but do it well, than say, I will do all of this and do nothing. So this is my advice to myself and to you guys. So I would say just Wednesday, aim for the 3 days a week. That's it. Ignore the rest. Just 3 days a week. Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Christmas Eve. in the West and the East, Christmas Eve is a big fast and abstinence day because it's always before the feast, there's a fast. Every time before the feast, there is the fast. So Christmas Eve definitely has to be added. So 24th of December is a fast and abstinence day. The fast is broken. On Christmas Day or the massive Christmas Eve or however it is you want to do it. But basically, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, do fast and abstinence. Christmas Eve, fast and abstinence. And if you succeed by doing that a couple of weeks, and why not try to extend it? And maybe next year you can add more time. And the year after, do the full Advent fast. So fasting maybe 3 days and abstinence the whole of it. Or if you're really good in a couple of years, fast and abstinence all of Advent. So when the feast comes, the feast of the birth of Christ, you will truly enjoy it. It'll be a great joy because after the fast, now we have Christmas Day with all the feasting. So this is it. So it's time to get pumped up, and we don't want to be using excuses, so we don't discipline ourselves. And honestly, you will feel physically much better. Every time I do before Easter, the Lenten fast, Easter Sunday, I feel so much better. You can almost smell the food. It's so much better. I can smell milk when you not bad milk, but honestly, you become so, when you're deprived of something for so long, your senses become so sensitive to taste and to smell, and it's a good discipline. So, but don't just try to fast without to pray. So try to combine both fasting and prayer. They help each other out. Fasting helps you to pray, and prayer helps you to fast. And of course, let's not forget the poor. But let's always remember, we're not communists. The poor, as Christ says, are always with us. So the poor are always with us. We try to help them out as much as possible. And we help the Church of God as much as possible. Help good parishes, good priests who preach true doctrine. Attend a traditional liturgy. The traditional Roman Rite, the so-called Latin Mass, traditional Byzantine Rite, traditional Armenian Rite, whatever. Always a Catholic Church. Hopefully there is going to be a reunification between the various Orthodox churches and the Roman Church. Hopefully they will come soon. Anyways, so we are going to enter Advent pretty soon. I thought I'd do this a bit ahead of time to give you an idea. Go research it online, and let's be true disciples of Christ who can subdue the body to the will, because we are the sons of God. That's it. That's all. See you next time. Please subscribe, share, like. Do whatever you like to do, and see you next time. Bye-bye.